I am a dentist. I'm also a mum. I'm also a motivational speaker, a life coach, and I am also a Zumba instructor. I definitely did not want to have a career where I sat in a lab because I'm a very chatty person. We and we alone are in charge of our own happiness. Take care of ourselves because you cannot buy back your health. So I always say do the prehab rather than rehab. Carry yourself well, dress yourself well. I always wear heels though, always wear heels. A woman looks at a man in his suit the way a man looks at a woman in her lingerie. I know you're laughing.
Our special guest is the definition of empowerment. Today we are joined by none other than Dr. Devinia Coco. Graduating at Barts, London School of Medicine and Dentistry, Devinia has delved into every corner dentistry can offer, from specialising in cosmetic and aesthetic dentistry to inspiring dental students and professionals across the board with her motivational speaking. Devinia has grasped the concept of being multi-diverse and has just kept going. From owning practices to becoming a Zumba instructor, Devinia has yet to limit herself in the broad spectrum that she calls life, and has embodied the concept of continuous learning and development by recently achieving her advanced postgraduate diploma in clear aligner therapy and aligner mastery. We are so honoured to be interviewing Devinia today and being able to dive deeply into her interesting story. And therefore, without further ado, I present to you this episode.
So Devinia, for our audience who don't know you so far, who are you?
So my name's Devinia. I am a dentist that works in Holborn and Canary Wharf. I'm also a mum with an unconventional family. So I have 2 children of my own and 2 stepkids. They are aged between 29 and the youngest is 23. They've all left school and left university and are all in their big jobs out there. So it's really, really good to be on this side now. I work in private practice. I have been a speaker and a lecturer for the last couple of years, mentor, clinical advisor for more than that. So I enjoy getting out there and talking, chatting. I'm also a motivational speaker, a life coach, and I am also a Zumba instructor and Strong Nation instructor. So during lockdown, I decided I'm not going to do CPDs and sit there. I'm going to do something a bit more fun. And so I decided, right, I'm going to go enroll myself in some Zumba classes to actually learn Zumba, because I used to do a lot of Zumba before, and dance frontline. Thoroughly enjoy dancing, but never thought I would actually maybe be a trainer. And then suddenly during lockdown, I thought, gosh, there is, I don't want to regret not doing something. So let me go and try it out and see. So then I did level 1, level 2, then did, learned to teach kids and teenagers, learned to teach adults, so and older adults, so Zumba Gold, which is for people who are sort of in wheelchairs or have mobility issues, etc. And then did something called Strong Nation, which is a little bit... it is Zumba, but it involves a lot of, I'd say, strength and conditioning exercises as well. So it's for those who want that little bit more.
So you mentioned that you're a Zumba instructor. I mean, that's very different to dentistry. Was that initially to relax yourself, or was there something deeper within that?
So what I would say is that we all need to hack our happiness, right? So initially I went to Zumba classes to primarily try and hack that, because that releases the endorphins, makes you, we and we alone are in charge of our own happiness, right? So I thought, if I'm in charge of that and I'm taking charge of my life, how am I going to hack this? What do I need to do? What activities do I need to do? So it's like sport and things like that releases the endorphins. So I thought, okay, let me go to the gym and join in some fun fitness classes. I could not think of sort of standing there and lifting weights and all those things. So I thought, okay, I'll go to the newer version of, I suppose, the aerobics classes of the 80s. So I decided to go and do some Zumba classes. Thoroughly enjoyed it because it's all that Latino music and there's a lot of passion in it. And a lot of the people in there were great, fun people and things. But actually, to be honest, since then, I've also gone and done a lot more strength and conditioning now. So I've sort of gone the other way a little bit because I do realize that, it's really, really important for all of us as you get old and things like that, that you invest in your health. And the most important thing is to make your bones stronger, make your muscles stronger around your bones, so that if you have any falls or anything, things aren't going to be as bad. So it's important, whatever age you are, to make sure that you have strength. But I think, I guess I started a bit later into the game doing that.
Would you recommend that younger dentists and students start working on their bodies? As you know, we have to have quite difficult postures when we're working. Is that something you would recommend for the younger audience?
Oh, absolutely. Do things like Pilates, core strengthening exercises and all that. It's so, so important. Yes, do the fun things like go out dancing and doing those things, but so important for us as dentists to make sure that we do that to protect our backs, to protect our limbs as well. Gosh, if we didn't have one of our limbs, that would be difficult, right? If you broke your leg or anything, or you broke your arm. So really important that we do that and take care of ourselves, because you cannot buy back your health. If you've lost that, then you're never going to buy that back, or it's not as easy. And as you get older, it's harder to rehabilitate yourself. So I always say do the prehab rather than rehab. So prehab is quite a nice way of thinking about it, as in, get your body, invest in your body and make sure that, you look after it. But I don't, I'm a bit 80-20, so I will go rogue 20%. In a bit.
Love it. Well, so Devinia, you mentioned the back, right? How important would you say loops are? Would you say they change the way you practice as well, loops?
They are very, very important, gosh, because, we have to sit and think how we're posturing ourselves. I think a lot about my posture and protecting my back, even in the gym, even when I'm out speaking and things like that, like how I stand. So there is something where amongst some of our speakers, we always say, you have to hold yourself in a certain way and carry yourself in a certain way. And even when you sit in a chair, don't slouch, and, make sure you sit up and make sure you feel like a puppet that's held up on a string, and that you are sitting tall. I can see you adjusting yourself.
Yeah, I'm going to reposition myself. Okay. Awesome. So Devinia, you have many strings to your bow. You've clearly done many different things. Take us back to the beginning. How were your early years of dental school like?
Okay, so I'll take you back to probably before that, before dental school. When you sit there and you try and make the choices of what you're going to do. My mum is very creative. She's a domestic engineer. And if you don't know what that means, that's that she's a housewife. However, she too has many strings to her bow, was always doing other things rather than being at home, helped my dad run his practice, etc. But she was very creative, very artistic. And growing up, I loved art, doing artwork. My dad is an obstetrician and a gynecologist, and a great one at that. And he used to have us in his practice during the summer holidays and things, doing things like answering the telephone, taking bloods for patients. So we grew up in that practice environment and in the hospital environment, because often we'd be on holiday back home on the island, and he'd suddenly get a phone call. We'd be going out to dinner and we'd all go and sit in the hospital waiting for some baby to come along. So there was always that. I loved the buzz of that and everything. But then I also wanted to do something more creative as well. So I did try and say to my parents, maybe I'll go to art school and go and be a fashion designer or something. And you can imagine that was not a good idea. I thought, okay, I said, oh, maybe I could be an artist. And they said, well, do whatever career that's going to bring you in an income, because being an artist, a fashion designer, you have to make it, which is very, very true. It was sound advice. But you've got to actually think of a career that's going to put food on the table, pay your bills, and then you can have side hustles, right? So I then thought, okay, maybe this is a good idea. And so then decided to amalgamate both their sets of genes, which I'd inherited, and thought I'll go to dental school. And, that can be very, very creative in terms of now, like when you think our composites, how we layer them, the shades, etc. And also in terms of my facial aesthetics work that I do as well. So it's sort of transforming somebody's smile and things from the inside out. And I'm always looking at the outside, where their nose sit, where their lips sit, have they got a high lip line, etc., all these things. So it was a career that really appealed to me. I guess I didn't know the depth of it until I'd gone into dental school, because I thought, okay, I'll do some fillings and I will sit in practice. I definitely did not want to have a career where I sat in a lab, because I'm a very chatty person. I didn't want to, I did do work experience working in a genetics lab for the IVF Foundation in Singapore. And I sat in this lab arranging chromosomes, and I thought, no, that is not a career for me, because you couldn't sneeze because all the chromosomes would move. You had to sit there and arrange them all. And I thought, no, this is not a life for me to be sitting in a lab and I just have 3 lab mates to talk to. I'd rather a career where every day, I love the buzz of meeting other people and the and practice life and things, because obviously I grew up with that, seeing Dad in his career and seeing the patients come in and out. Then you as kids, as we all grew up, and even now, whenever we go back on the island, that patients always meet us in the streets and are like, oh, lovely to see you back home, and that kind of stuff. So it was, I felt a really, really lovely environment. And so decided to go into general practice. Yeah.
So dentistry to you, Devinia, was like a balance between art and also social side that you also enjoy as well, and also a bit of medicine there as well.
That's it. So it was that was in there. And dental school, I have to say, is an amazing, amazing place. We work harder than the medics, right? I think they coast until maybe 4th or 5th year, but we had lots of OSCEs and everything like that. But you're all in it together, which is a real. It was like where there are not many degrees that you get where everybody's in there. You're working on clinic, plus you're working. It's hands-on plus the books and everything. So it's a nice world to be in, where you've got a mixture of a hands-on course as well as all the books and everything, the knowledge and everything else that you have to learn. And there was that buzz on the clinic floor, and then there was that buzz in lectures and things like that, because I was the first lot of Barts and the Royal London amalgamating together. So we had all the medics from Barts and the London, and all the dentists, which was about 50 of us from the Royal London. So it was a lovely mix of all of us together, and we were the first lot that started off in Queen Mary. So then we were then mixed in. Traditionally, a lot of dental schools in London were just hospital-based, whereas we got to be university-based. And so I play a lot of hockey, so I decided, okay, rather than play for the hospital team, I'll play for the university team and then get to meet everybody else who was doing other degrees and things. So like the lawyers, so our building was opposite the law building. So, a lot of them used to play hockey as well. Then the people who did geography, the economists, etc. And it was very weird in that when I'd gone back home a while ago, my mum had handed me a bunch of photographs. And I looked at this photograph and it was at some gala dinner or something. And I thought, who are these people? Then I turned it round and looked at the back and they were all like my hockey mates from university. And I thought, wow, okay.
So Devinia, would you recommend university students to integrate with other courses as well? Because oftentimes you can be quite isolated, right? You'd recommend people to go out and form connections outside of the course.
Absolutely. Really, really important that you do that so that you get to then experience what other people do. You get to meet other people. Who knows? You may even meet your life partner doing that, right? You don't necessarily want to marry another dentist. I'd advise you probably the dentist economist combination or dentist accountant combination is a great combination because they can deal with the numbers and finances, and then you can run the practice, right? So both of you get out there.
Look, economist, okay, no, sir.
No, but that person with that business brain, and then you with the running the clinic side brain, that I think is a great combination. But other than obviously me not jokingly but seriously saying about meeting somebody like that, friendship wise as well, like I'm still friends with a lot of people that I met at Queen Mary, which is really, really great, to socialize in that environment, because otherwise we become too one-dimensional and you can get sort of have conversations that are all about dentistry, rather than anything else. And there is more to life.
Yeah, you mentioned the one-dimensional, and I'm quite interested in that because, you're such a diverse person. You're doing all these different things. Do you recommend that as dental students, we sort of venture out and try to find passion for other things other than dentistry?
Yes, definitely. Have a side hustle, at least one side hustle, whether it be, baking, painting, dancing. You can go salsa dancing, gosh. And that's quite a nice thing, right? To be like, shimmy, shimmy.
The legs of Lucia.
Or, go out and do things. Go out also traveling as well whilst you're at dental school. Go to some of the student conferences that are abroad and things. But most important, my greatest thing is like a lot of dental students, look and they think like far, far ahead, and they're thinking, okay, I'm in my first year, I'm in my second year, I'm in my third year. I need to go out and practice and I need to be, getting this experience and doing this and doing that. But oh my gosh, enjoy your university life. They were the best years, not of my life. I wouldn't say they were the best years of my life. Now I'm having the best years of my life. It gets better each time. But those moments were wonderful. They were really, really great, and you find friends that are there for your life. Really, really, they're the greatest friends, your university friends. So go out there, make the memories with them, because this year I've been graduated for 30 years out of dental school. And some of those friends that I have, I could ring up and say, right, help me do this, or, I need that, or whatever. And we'll all be there to help one another. We go on trips together. It's just a great group of people. So yes, have friends outside of dentistry, but also have your dental friends, because only they understand the pushes and pulls in dentistry. Only they understand what it's like. The other day, a few of us were chatting and we were saying how, you can't go back home and say to your other kind of home friends, oh, this happened in the clinic, or how do I do this, or whatever, because they don't understand what the stresses are and things. So it's always good to have dental friends, but yes, it is definitely great to have friends outside of dentistry who are there to give you that, make you see better in the world and things.
So, Devinia, after you graduate, oftentimes people say that dentistry can get quite lonely, you're in a practice by yourself. What would you advise people to kind of have a more smooth transition so they can be integrated within the wider community whilst also practicing?
What, you have your vocational training, which is now called
FD?
FD, that's it. So you have your FD training, that to enjoy yourself. I mean, I still have FD training friends who are some of my friends who would call me up at any moment and say, "Oh, how's life? And should we do this? Should we do that?" One of them is my theatre-going, restaurant-going buddy, and every year both him and I will go to Dentistry show together. It's our thing that every year we'll catch a train to Birmingham and go around the show together. So, you have friends like that who, it's important. And important that you, really, really look into enjoying that time.
Awesome. So, Devinia, after you graduate, many people say that the FD is a big step up. How do you find that experience? How was that transformation from dental school to the real world of practice?
Well, the thing is, they've made it such that it's a good thing that they've got FD. This is what I'd say, because they've made it such that you can step up in a really nice way, because you really don't want to be thrown in the deep end of going into a practice and, there's so much to learn, like how the practice runs. You don't do a filling in half a day. You have to, like, maybe initially they start you off on seeing 5 patients in a day, and then 5 patients in the morning, and then it increasing. So it's a good way of going into practice. And also I love that you have all these other courses around it. So I know in my, when we used to call it vocational training days, we, other than doing dental courses, we had financial people come in to talk to us. We had people who came in to talk to us about, communications, about relationships, all these things, which you don't really learn in dental school. And I think it's really important to learn those things in dental school as well. But is there enough time to do it? I don't think so. But I mean, you guys are doing a great thing by having, talking to other people. And now we've got, social media and things for highlighting things. You have talks on, how people transition into practice. And it makes other sort of young dentists realize like what there is out there. There is a whole lot out there, gosh. And it can be, as you say, quite overwhelming to think, gosh, that leap is great, right?
So would you say, because you mentioned you're a motivational speaker, would you say that motivating younger students is part of the reason you started, speaking publicly? What was the reason you started?
I got into it, I suppose, by maybe not quite accident, but by default, maybe. It was never a thing that I had thought of. So I had gone to find somebody who could coach me, because I'd had to go through quite a bit of therapy after my marriage had broken down. So I thought, okay, fine, I will go and find myself a suitable therapist. And that was really tough. So to anybody going in for any kind of therapy, whether you're in dental school or outside of dental school, or at whatever point in your life, go get therapy, but find the right therapist who will work with you on things. So that one, I'd say, was an important thing for me. And then I thought, okay, I've talked through all the stuff, but I actually need somebody who's going to like push me to do better, to pull myself out from this place that was, as I always say, this place below rock bottom, which was a harsh place to be at. And so I then found a life coach who I thought would be suitable. And I was looking for somebody who was a dentist or knew dentistry and who was a family person, because family is really, really important for me, and somebody who had good morals as well. And so then, thank goodness I found somebody, and I also needed them to be a little bit, how would I put it? A little bit crazy, a little bit like, okay, we got to do this, and I'm going to shove you out of a plane, and you are going to scream for your life, but I have shoved you off, and you're now going to get on. So I found somebody who was that, and it was the people that I met on that course were amazing, and all of them doing really, really well. But when you think about if something happens in your life, yep, as I say, it's great to have therapy, but you also need to level up and you need to step up. So then that was important. So I went and did that. And then they then asked me to coach for them. And they then spoke to me and said, look, from your pain, you really, really need to think about what you're going to do with it. And I said, actually, what I'd really like to do is bring awareness and raise awareness and do that and help other people realize that it's okay to stick your head above the parapet walls. There are a lot of minority communities whereby there is a lot of shame if your marriage falls apart and things. I had to kind of like step out of that and think, you know what, I did the right thing. And I want other people to see that it's okay to do that. And, if things are not going right, you need to step off that merry-go-round and you need to sort yourself out, and you can make a life for yourself. It's not true that, and it's not right that somebody says that, oh, you are going to fail and you are going to be really miserable and I will make sure that you are not going to succeed. But, oh my gosh, you will find the strength from inside you and you will need to push on and make a better life. So I then, as I say, became a motivational speaker because of that. And
so Devinia, I have a question. When you first spoke, were you scared? Were you nervous? Or because you seem to be someone who's so energetic, do you feel those nerves?
When I was at school and at dental school, I used to speak a lot. At dental school, a lot of us would have, I'm sure you have had projects and things to present. When those days came, I thought, great, this is like really good. Sounded home. We get to talk and things. And you get to do those little presentations, and I loved, and that brought out that creative side as well. So that's what I loved about it, that it was like another dimension. It's not just filling teeth. So often, in those days, the dental students didn't really go to conference or anything, but they did ask me once, oh, will I go to this perio conference and present this paper? And I looked at them and I went, but I've got finals. I can't really go. And they went, no, seriously, like, you're a good speaker, just go. And I enjoyed speaking and, enjoyed engaging with the audience. I think that was a difference in that I wasn't talking to people. I was kind of like including them in the trying to make it a more fun presentation rather than a dull thing where I was reading off a piece of paper. So that was good.
So almost rather than talking to people, you're talking with them, right? And including them as well. So did you end up going to that conference then, the end of Perio conference?
No, because I had finals. There's no way. There is sometimes, you have to say no for certain things. And it's good to say no. It's really good to learn where to say no and to hold back. I mean, it's in the same way. I felt like somebody was asking me to go to a party. I had exams sitting and I was like, no. Much as I wanted to do it, it was a great opportunity. There was something far more important, which was finals. When you've been in dental school for that long, you want to get out of jail. You don't want to be in there. And I was like, if I went, then it would take so much time off my studying, and I kind of like lined up everything and prepared everything. You know, finals is like that. What is it? It's like a race that you've got. It's like a marathon that you've got to run. It's not that final sprint, right? It's a marathon. So you prepare everything, and then you run a little bit, then you rest, then you run a little bit, then you rest. And then on that day itself, like on those days of exams, you're like on form. And on those days of exams, I'd always think I need to go in with one piece of paper with my notes on, and that's all I need. And that's what I do. So before that, I'd like go through things, and then you like make it shorter and shorter, and then you have that one piece of paper and everything's on there for my exam.
This message has been brought to you by Colgate. Now, you already know Colgate for their toothpaste and oral care, but what you may not know them for is the massive amount of support that they provide dental professionals, helping educate and empower the next generation of dentists to boost their career. Now, as dentists, we all know the importance of CPD in developing clinically. The recently launched Professional Education Hub by Colgate is a centralized platform and one-stop shop for all things verifiable ECPD related, filled with bite-sized videos, webinars, articles, and more. From leading clinicians, you can develop your career and obtain verifiable ECPD from the comfort of your screen. The amount of value is insane. With an ever-expanding catalogue of content to choose from, there's something for everyone. Visit www.colgateprofessional.co.uk to sign up and register now. And now, back to the episode.
You mentioned that, it's like a marathon, it's not a sprint. How would you recommend that we prepare as dental students for exams?
Okay. Really, really important, as I say, that it's a marathon. You start preparing before. Nothing is going to happen overnight, right? Nothing can be achieved. So work hard from the outset. And as I said, hard work pays. Seriously, you want to do something, you want to get something, work hard at it, work hard to get it. Nothing is going to come easy, okay? Nothing. Nobody's there to gift it to you on a plate or whatever. And, some people find learning easier than others, but you have to find the way of learning that is suitable for you, right? Some people learn through going through their book all the time. The best way is get the past papers, and then you know what kind of things they're asking for. But I learned through colour, really weirdly. Like I'll have like loads of different highlighters. As you can see, I'm colour plus. So I'll have loads of different highlighters, and then the really important information is in like bright pink. And then the slightly less will be in like bright orange. And then the green is sort of like, okay, you kind of need to sort of look at it, but not that closely. And then the yellow is everything else. So that's how my notes.
Your note was very bright, yeah.
That's it. So all my notes were full of highlighter pen in different colours. And it was interesting in that later on when I had my kids, I saw one of them study in that way. And I thought, wow.
It was a passing down as you.
That. But yeah, so really important that you pace yourself, and really important that you rest as well. Because, I always say this in anything in life, sometimes you have to pull back before you launch forward, like an arrow. So, when an arrow pulls back, then goes forward with force. So a lot of times people will say, oh, but why are you resting? Why are you doing, you've got to rest. You've got to look after yourself. You've got to take that little bit of time out, like in a day, like think, okay, I'll take some time out and go and relax, go and chill. There were 1 or 2 students in our year, and I used to find this very weird in that they never even had time to wash their hair. I was like, no. It's not that. Have look after your personal hygiene and everything. That's really, really important. Care for yourself. Eat well, eat food that's like brain food and good for you and everything. So really important that you do that. And the best thing is study with each other. Gosh, you've got the whole of your year. So find some study buddies, because that's what we did. And we had like 2 different, you still have those groups of people that you study with all through.
Yes.
Yeah. So 2 of our different groups, we got together and we got one of the tutors from Cons, one of the tutors from Perrier, to give us all extra classes. And we'd all sit there asking our questions and everything, going through past papers. And the tutors were great. They sat there and went through those with us. And then we'd have like little satellite groups where you'd be like asking each other questions and everything, because you learn off each other and you can all learn and grow together. If you sit as one person, you may have missed so many things. Whereas if you have study buddies, it's really, really good. And you hang out with the drunks, you become a drunk, right? You hang out with great study buddies and then you all do really well together.
So this work is important.
Yeah, it is really, really important. And ask your teachers, ask the demonstrators, the tutors, ask them, how do I do this? If you don't open your mouth, you don't get fed.
Yeah.
Right. So open your mouth and ask them, like, can you help me with this? What is this? How do I do this? Oh, I don't understand this. And they'll help you out.
Yeah.
Because that's what I always say, like when I mentor people and things, I just say, just ask. There's no such thing as a silly question. And don't apologize because you have to ask a question. That's how knowledge is gained, right? When we ask things.
So Devinia, let me ask you the question, which is, you went from, clinician, very clinical, to, of course, a business owner as well, owning practices. How was that transition like, and how did you kind of get your hands dirty in the business side of things alongside being a clinician?
So that side of things is never taught to us in dental school. And that is you kind of almost learn the hard way. If you've got now we have courses and things you can go on, which is really, really good. And, there are people out there like Bobby who's speaking about, when you want to open a squat practice, what that's like. You've got life coaches out there, like Jamie Morley and things like that, who will be there to help you through things. I don't think in the early days we had those, and you had to kind of learn by making mistakes and figuring your way around. In those days, we never had as much in terms of not paperwork. We had paperwork to submit in, like your NHS forms, etc. But in terms of the admin of running the practice, we had a little bit of health and safety, a little bit of infection control, but it wasn't to the extent that, how CQC is now. I was there in the early days when CQC started, and it was hard, but it's become even harder, it's great in terms of, we need to have standards. Standards are really important in whatever we do, right? How you carry yourself, what kind of practice you have. And you can't have like practices where things are failing, so really important that we have those things.
So would you say that sort of in your career making mistakes is vital for progression and development?
Yeah, so long as they're the right mistakes. Right, okay, some mistakes you should not make.
Fair enough, yeah. Eyes are rolling.
My eyes are rolling. Yeah, but it's not actually a mistake, right? It's you're learning from it. That's why I wouldn't call it a mistake as such. I would say it's a learning exercise. And you keep learning, so long as you don't make the same mistake or the same learning exercise or whatever it may be called. But yeah, you just learn. You're there to learn from things. You're there to always improve yourself. So long as you're improving yourself all the time, right, it's a better thing, right? You're becoming a better clinician. You're becoming a better person. There is, hand on my heart, there is no dentist out there who's never made an error, had nothing happen to them. All of you need to realize that, you will go out there, you will have lots of things that will hit you hard, lots of challenges, and it will be things like, clinical wise, personal wise, and you have to like build strong. You have to have resilience. Really, really, you all do, Yeah.
So have those foundations in place, right? So you can build upon that. So Devinia, you have a clear type of dentistry, or you have this niche brand of dentistry you do. how would you advise young dentists to kind of find their type of dentistry? Because people oftentimes get all caught up in specialising. What would you advise to a young dentist who's thinking about what type of dentistry they want to practice?
Okay, I would say go out there and try it all. Okay, do not go out there thinking that, oh, I want to go out there and I want to just do Invisalign and bonding. No, go out there, try out root canals, go out there, and a great place to cut your teeth is on the NHS, right? Get out there, you'll be seeing bulk patients every day, you'll be getting faster at doing things, you will then learn what you like to do, what you don't like to do. A good place is a mixed practice, where you will be doing a little bit of private work plus, doing the bulk of your work will be done under the health service. You'll be seeing patients, you'll be seeing different personalities. It's not just the clinical side of things because you'll be having to deal with the emotional side of things. And, clinically, be really broad before you bring your net, do you funnel in. So at least you've tried things. Who knows, that person who came out of dental school and decided that all they wanted to do was just to do Invisalign, and then they were actually supposed to be a brilliant implant surgeon and they never went to look down that route.
I see.
So do go and, go ask people, oh, can I come and shadow you? Can I see what that's like? And have great mentors, people who will help you along that journey, and be open and don't put yourself down a niche. Later on you can, but, once you find what your passions are, what you like doing, what you don't like doing, then you will find that a lot of people who've gone down that specialist route, they were general dentists to start with, and then they went down a specialist route.
Understood. So you kind of advise people to cast the net wide, get a range of exposure, and then niche down to what they think is best after having tried a lot of things, right?
Yeah, it's like you have a bag of sweets.
Yeah.
Right? And how do you know, or that like box of chocolates, right? If all you ate was the Twix, you wouldn't know that the Bounty tasted really nice.
Really nice. Oh, I'm not impressed by how good in that one. Twix or Bounty's me any day. Oh, so Devinia, you mentioned Invisalign, right? I'm aware you're an exceptional Invisalign provider. How is Invisalign, what has Invisalign done for you, and why Invisalign?
Okay, so when I was getting divorced, I was already doing some Invisalign and facial aesthetics in practice and things, but I was a single mum bringing up my children and the sole provider for my kids, and I thought, I have to level up, and how am I going to do this? So I had to do something which was going to bring me the biggest return of investment. And I thought, I'm out there doing Invisalign, but not to the level at which I feel really confident. I was comfortable, but I wasn't like, I am great at doing this. So I thought, I'll take myself off to a course. So I went to do the clear aligner therapy diploma with Raman and Andy. They are amazing mentors. Even to this day, I will raise my hand up and say they are still my mentors to this day. I will go to them and ask them anything and everything, and they'll be there, and they'll say to me, okay, go down this path, do this, do that.
Yeah.
So they made me step up. And I thought, my family life is falling apart. I have to be there to hold my children together. Emotionally, I'm a wreck. And that was the one thing that was anchoring me, right, that held me down and made me realize I've got to get this thing under my belt no matter what. And so I went through that course. I met some of the most amazing people who are my ride or die friends there. It's like, it was a great course to go on. And then I stepped up and just thought, okay, and I only went into it because I thought, what is the quickest way for me to sit there with all that I have in practice, all that I do? what am I going to do that is going to make sure that I put food on the table for my children, I could buy them uniform, I could pay the bills, and, I didn't want my kids to struggle. You have children, you're responsible for your children.
Yeah.
Never turn around and think, oh, okay, my parents will look after them, or, you better step up for those children. And really, really, the more important thing in that as well is that, people have to realize that it takes a village to bring up kids, but then the parents are really important. And every kid is looking at their mum and dad to see how they behave. And we all learn lessons from that as to how to step up in life. And, either some kid looking at their parent thinks, oh, this is great. Whether their parents are together or not, they think, oh, this is really good. Or they think, I'm going to be the complete opposite to what my parents were doing. So
You mentioned role modeling and mentors. How would you recommend that we find the correct mentors to guide us?
Okay, you've got to firstly think to yourself, one, before your mentors, before that, a step before, you have your village, who's your support network, right? So they'll be your friends, your family, and some of your tutors, etc. But then you also need people who are going to push you up and make you step up another level. So that village and tribe is one thing, but then your inner circle is something else. And they will be probably at the most like 5 people. So they will be your clinical mentors. You may have 1 or 2 of those. You will have, I have my personal trainer as one of those. He is crazy, but good crazy in terms of he will look at me and say, you went home on that holiday and look what you brought back. The holiday souvenir of the extra tie around your waist. Oh, no. And those kind of things. I also have certain extreme like life coaches. So they are the coaches who basically kick your butt and say, you're sitting down doing nothing, or you are doing something, you think, but they're saying you're doing nothing and push you along. So it is good to have that inner circle. How do you choose your mentors? Well, sometimes you can choose somebody and it may not work out. They have to work out in terms of your personality. So I liken it to, I've had personal trainers in gyms that have lasted like 3 months, 4 months, 2 months, 6 months at the very most, because I feel like I have to go in and see them. But then one day I thought, what am I doing? Like seeing all these like different trainers that aren't giving me what I want. And then one day I found this trainer who, when I'd gone in to see him, he'd done all the weights, measuring, talked me through everything, whatever. And then we were chatting and I'd like opened my bag to take something out and I'd put a book out that I was reading. And he looked at me and he went, wow. He goes, what do you think of that book? And then he goes, I'm reading this. And I thought, you are going to become my personal trainer because you will mindset train me too. And that was the difference. So you've got to find somebody who's that mentor, who clinically is great, but also who has a great mindset, which is really important. It's good to have that.
Understood. So Devinia, you mentioned their books. Do you read a lot?
I do read a lot, but I also listen to like podcasts and things like that. It'd be on my train journey in. So either I will be listening to music, planning my choreo for my next Zumba class. So you'll find me in the train, like jigging a little.
We got to move him. Yeah.
Which is good because, it gets that energy going, right? Or I will be listening to a podcast. And sometimes it can be like tiny little snippets even. And I love reading. I love the feel of a book. It's like turning the pages, also the outside of a book, how it feels and everything. Like I like going to the bookshop, and when I see a book, sometimes they have like the hardback version and the softback version, and sometimes they create like different covers for them. So I look at them and I feel them, and then I think, which one do I like the feel of? And the hardback has like a sleeve cover in it. So sometimes if I don't like the sleeve, I'll undo the sleeve, and then I'll feel the inside, and I'll think, because I'm very, when people speak of love languages, I'm a very touch person, as you say, tactile. So I love to feel how that is, and then think, oh, okay, I like the feel of this bit of the book. So this is what I'm going to get. And then even the pages, as you turn them, whether they feel like that thick and like that little bit of like silkiness to it, whatever. So yeah, so I like how a book feels.
Okay, interesting. It's an interesting way to judge a book by its cover in a unique way, right? Interesting.
It's just how it holds in your hand and everything, really, really important.
So, Devinia, what kind of books do you read?
It will be so. This is my thing now. Let's real just into it. So I would say definitely motivational books, without a shadow of a doubt. Lots of those. But I also read autobiographies of people, because you can learn so much from people in their lives and things like that. Michelle Obama, for example, when she talks about, the journey to become the wife of a president. I mean, she was the backer to him, right? Without her, he wouldn't be who he is. So those books I love reading. I also will always, when I go away on holiday, I'll take maybe 5 books with me, and it will be like for a 10-day holiday.
Really?
But I'll take about 5 books with me, because sometimes, you start a book and you're not sure, and you'll put it down. So one book may be like that. So I don't really know which one it may be, because sometimes you feel in the mood for something and not necessarily in another thing. And I will always take at least 2 trashy books. Love good trash.
Oh, yeah?
So you've got to read those trashy novels and some
To appreciate the better baby.
That's it, and it just because we are there, we read medical journals, we read motivational books, you read everything, all sorts of things like that. But sometimes you've just got to just sit back and read something that is, it's like a great read that makes you think, wow, okay, that's cool.
Devinia, you mentioned like Michelle Obama and motivation. So I just want to circle back. What advice would you have for young women or young dentists that are females that want to get into motivational speaking like myself? What advice do you have for us?
Okay, so I'll give this to both men and women, right? Duffy.
Okay.
Don't be left out.
That's a benefit. That's good.
No, because it's important to include both in. So the first thing that I'll say is dress for the role you want, right? Rather than the role you're in. So always turn up really well dressed. So in dental school, I always made sure I turned up well dressed, because then people see you in a different light, right? They see that, okay, there she is, like turning up like this. There he is turning up like that. He's got a great suit on that fits really well, wears a tie, comes in, has that professional air about him, right? Make sure you smell good, right? Don't come in reeking of body odor, right? Really, really, people don't understand. People have to understand that it's about when you meet somebody for the first time, what do they first do? They see you from afar coming in. When you're up in front of them, they smell you, right? So wear great, wash yourself, wear great perfume, aftershave, etc. And also have that amazing handshake. Okay, so when I was at school, later I'll show you when we finish this, like how to do it. But when I was I'll speak it out now. When I was at school, the headmaster used to take us all aside, like a group of us, and say to us, right, okay, I'm going to speak to you all about how you talk to people. And he was a great headmaster in doing that. So up till now, I still remember that day when he said to us, right, when somebody comes into a room, walk up to them, and he goes, I want you to have a conversation with them. You do not know them from anywhere, whatever, but before you have a conversation with them, I want to see how you greet them. So it's about having that firm handshake, and it's about holding them by the elbow, right? So hold them on the elbow and have that firm handshake. So that, I would say, is very important. I see you smiling there.
You think interesting
handshake, Leah will try it out. And so carry yourself well, dress yourself well. And then, yes, you want to talk, yes, you want to speak. But, when I look at where I was initially speaking to where I am now, look into improving yourself all the time. So get a coach that is going to help you do that. So I had a coach to help me do that. I still do. And, they tell you how to stand, how to talk. So if you're out there and you're speaking to an audience, don't turn your back to them, right? And make sure you learn what is behind there that you're talking about, rather than keep looking at that, and make sure that you have everything really slick. So I don't know if you noticed, but at the weekend when I was speaking and things, my PowerPoint kind of like matched.
Yes.
In terms of our outfits and everything, we'd like coordinated everything really well. My layout, I'm like really strict about it, how everything has to flow, how the fonts have to be the same. I can't deal with the mishmash of everything where they're like different fonts and there is like every slide is, a different color or.
So branding is very important, you say, branding.
Yes, it is. And start now. Start now by practicing. You'll get better and better. Never worry that, oh my gosh, when I got off stage, I forgot to say this, I forgot to do that. Well, guess what? The audience didn't even know you were going to say that. So that's fine. And you'll get better as time goes on. There are some things where I turn up and I'm like full of confidence and everything and thinking, yeah, I can do this. And there are some times when I sit there and I think, oh, why do I feel like really relaxed about this? Because at the end of the day, you think to yourself, well, these are just my friends that I'm talking to, or these are just other dentists and I'm a dentist too. So it's okay.
They're people.
You mentioned personal branding. How would you recommend we develop our personal branding?
Well, you just have to sit there and, work through it yourself. You have to sit there and think, and it can change, right? And you can be one thing for a certain act, like for my Zumba, I go all out, crazy colors and everything. Sometimes we'll turn up with glasses on, flower leaves, grass skirt, skirt with tassels on, so that's not how I would turn up when I go to clinic. But when I'm giving a dental at a dental conference speaking or something, so for that I have a different set of things that I need to look at and think, okay, am I going to wear a power suit? Am I going to wear a skirt? I'll always wear heels though. Always wear heels because they carry. Sorry, you don't wear heels, but
I can't try. Maybe I'll try as well.
But wear a good pair of shoes. Wear a really nice suit. When I speak, I always say this, that for guys, and when I coach people, I say a woman looks at a man in his suit the way a man looks at a woman in her lingerie. I think a lot.
That's interesting take.
Because when I look at a guy in a suit, I think, okay, wow, that's a really nice fitting suit. Have you seen guys in suits that don't fit themselves? And it's awful, right? So the suit has to fit well. And I love looking at the inner lining of a suit. See the lining of this suit. It's really lovely. It's that lovely shot color of that like gold, slightly pinky, slightly green. so the lining of the suit is important. The pocket square is important. Now, even go to the detail of looking at the buttons. So I love buttons on suits and the stitching. So you can get like buttons of different like colors and the stitching of the buttons to go in a different color as well. So if you go around to the shops and have a look at suits, you can see that, and those things are important, that you wear a good suit, you dress, people know that, you're there, you're professional in how you've turned up. Shirts too, you've got to make sure that your shirts are, really well made, and that they're not sort of like hanging in places, and that if you're speaking for a whole day, make sure that you carry a spare shirt, right? So that you can change into that. And I'll teach you a little tip, as in, when you're presenting, sometimes you get all hot and flustered and bothered and everything. So I say this to men and women. A trick to do is to get like a sanitary pad, those small thin ones, and to tuck it into your armpits, right? So that so it absorbs. Even guys, they do that, right? Stick it, and they stick on. So stick it.
Like that.
And it does work, right? That when you guys are here doing podcasts and everything, but if it is like somebody that's coming along that you think, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous of doing them, like have a thing of like sanitary towels down there, really thin ones.
Yes.
Stick them in.
Yes, like emergency package.
When you see somebody presenting, there's nothing worse than if somebody's giving a presentation and you see these sweat patches on them. So there you go. You learn that trick and share it with anybody.
So many little hacks in there, nuggets of knowledge. Love it.
But it's important you carry yourself well, you smell well, you look good, makeup is on point for yourself. Shave, really nice haircut, glasses without smears on them and everything. So it's all those little details that are really, really important.
Awesome. So Devinia, of course, you're also a Zumba instructor, which you mentioned a few times. How do you manage that alongside dentistry? Does it give you energy? And because it's quite an active thing, right? I think you might think it drains your energy, but you think it gives you energy?
It does give you energy because, as I say, that you're sat in the chair all day, and we actually need to get up and dance and do things, and so it does. It makes you happy as well, and it's good to move. Right?
Awesome, love it. So why Zumba?
It's that lovely mix of that, you have reggaeton and you have salsa and you have all different styles of music. You have Arabic dancing. My favorite number that I do is called Habibi, I Love You.
Yep.
And it's Pitbull. It's a tune of his, and I'd actually danced to that when I was on holiday in Dubai at the Burj, and in that Zumba class there, all these ladies who go regularly to the gym there because they live there in Dubai, they loved this song, and I thought, wow, I like this song too. I'm gonna go off and even now, like 20 years on, whatever, I still love that song, and I'll always try and put that number in.
Irreplaceable. Awesome. Love it.
Would you say that Zumba's improved your confidence as well in the dental field?
I guess it has, because I'm there leading a class and dancing front line. And, even if I wasn't the instructor and I'm there those who dance at the front, you've literally got to lead everybody from the back, because not everybody from the back can see what's going on. And yes, it gives you, because you're out there standing in front of people dancing, you're not talking, but oh my gosh, if you miss a move, and I have a few times, then you think to yourself, how am I going to style this out?
Very dynamic, your toes. Love it.
And your class knows the other moves, and so then they know that you've done a move, and you kind of laugh it off, and it's like.
So Devinia, last question we ask all our guests before we round up the discussion is, you've talked about evolution from where you were to where you are now. You're many different points along the journey. What would you say, given your current experience, success means to you?
What does I think it's probably being happy.
Mhm.
Being happy with what you have in terms of family, being, feeling blessed. Seriously feeling blessed for what you have. Yeah,
So
that's what
almost,
success is. Just feeling happy with what you have and feeling happy that you've achieved things, you've done things, and not having regrets. You can't sit there and think, oh, I wish I did that, at the end of your life, whatever. Like a lot of the time I sit there now, especially, and I think, what if somebody took me out, like, as in, like, killed me today, right? Not took me out to dinner. Very nice. But what if I died today, right? Let's say, would I feel that I've been successful? Yeah, hell yeah. Because I think, I feel almost like I was left for dead to sit in that place below rock bottom. I risked living a life that, I never got to do the things I dreamt of as an 8-year-old child, as a child when I was at university. I had all these hopes and dreams. I wanted to teach, I wanted to speak, and here I am doing that, teaching and speaking and more. I get invited to some of the loveliest events and meet so many amazing people, and to share a stage with, like phenomenal people is is a great thing. And I'm happy with my life. I'm happy with what I have. Yeah, there are a few things that, I wish could be better. But I've done a lot and achieved a lot. And, there are people who would sit there and who, the initial naysayers who said, oh, I will fail. I will never succeed. I would never do things. And here I am. And, I think I'm doing great.
Powerful. Thank you.
No, and it's important to, even now for you all to feel that you're doing great. Wow, you got into dental school. Think how many people would want to be in dental school here in the UK and they're having to go abroad and things. But even those who got into dental schools abroad, so this is to every, dentist that's not qualified, every dentist that's qualified, and you get to do dentistry, which is a career where you can decide how well you're going to do. There's no other career out there. I believe there's no other career out there where you can choose how well you're going to do. You can choose which path you're going to go down. You can choose how you're going to put it together, whether you're going to do, it's like a pick and mix. Like you're going to do a bit of perio and a bit of this and a bit of that. Oh no, you're not going to do endo, so like that's fine. But you can do all these other things.
Awesome. So you say a level of contentment is what success is for you, and you're happy that you're kind of living the dream. So a young Devinia would have aspired to live.
Yeah, I still want to push myself because I'm starting a new postgrad course come September. So
I do that like you.
So, I always say at whatever age you can reinvent the wheel, at whatever age you can start again.
Awesome.
And so, so it's important to realize that even when you get to level 5 that I'm on, you can start again.
Amazing. Devinia, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've been Afif.
And Yasmin.
And this has been The Young Dentist. Thank you.